everybody, I'm Connor, that's Doug, and this is the Bethel School District Presents podcast. Yes, the longest running school district podcast in the whole South Puget Sound, and we've got a fantastic show this week. We are on location at Kapowson Elementary School. We have a very special guest with us, Jennifer Vasiles. She is the principal here. She's just getting started on her third year, and we're going to do something a little different today. We're going to just jump right on into useless trivia, and we each have one. But Doug, I want you to start us out.
I can't wait. And Jennifer, welcome to the show. This is a first for us, having a third useless trivia. So, and I'm going first, you said?
You go for it.
Let's go. So my source this week is Travel and Leisure magazine, and I learned at any given moment there are between 12 and 14,000 commercial airliners in the sky. And to keep it local, I did look up from the Port of Seattle how many flights a day are arriving and departing from SeaTac, and that number is 1,189 flights every single day.
Wow.
For a total of 434,321 a year.
Sheesh.
Just from SeaTac.
That is a useless bit of trivia. Jennifer, we're going around the horn and putting you on the spot here. This is your first time doing it.
All right,
we're expecting big things.
I will cite my daughter as my source, Miss Maya Vasiles, fourth grader. And she taught me about lavender snakes, which are actually corn snakes indigenous to the United States in many regions. And they become lavender due to a genetic mutation similar to albinoism.
Oh, that's very cool.
Very interesting.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I'm also going with useless animal trivia, and mine is that there is a jellyfish out there that is technically immortal. Did you know that?
Yes,
What?
I learned about this on the Octonauts.
Okay, well, so that makes two of us now that know about it. The jellyfish is called the Turritopsis dorni, and it achieves this unique immortal status by having the ability to revert its cells to an earlier polyp stage when it's stressed out or injured, effectively reversing its life cycle and regenerating into a young jellyfish indefinitely. Mm-hmm. So while they can't die of old age, they can be killed by predators and other diseases. But isn't that fascinating?
As someone who was stung by a jellyfish at a young age, a young impressionable age, this is terrifying to me. I want to think about immortal vampire jellyfish.
Maybe it's like Spider-Man. You will turn into Jellyfish Man now that you've been stung. I don't know how that
It hasn't happened yet, but now I'm going to...
Late stage Jellyfish Man.
Well, I don't know how we're going to transition from that. In just a little bit, we're going to talk about an amazing award the staff here at Kapowson Elementary has won. Before we get to that, we do have 2 levies that will be up for renewal, pending board approval, of course, coming up next year. And the first ones are Educational Programs and Operations levy, which was last renewed in 2022.
So the EP&O levy, as we know, helps pay for critical things like special education programs and extra transportation costs, items the state doesn't fully fund.
Yeah, our state funding model is based on, it's called the prototypical funding formula, which definitely sounds like something made up in Olympia. It is outdated, and that's like calling dinosaurs outdated. This thing hasn't been updated in a long time. All districts in Washington state need to employ more teachers and staff than that formula actually pays for, which is why our district and every other district needs local levies to help supplement the appropriate number of staff and teachers to support our students. And this includes things like social workers and counselors and even school nurses. The state funds 2.9 nurses for our 21,000 students. The levy helps us to employ 15.
So, and obviously levy dollars are also incredibly impactful because they provide opportunities for our students. It gives them a chance to be creative in the visual arts, to perform in band, choir, orchestra, things like that, and to participate in team sports and other extracurriculars.
Jennifer, you're principal of Kapowson Elementary School. You know what the levy looks like here, directly impacting students. For you, where do you see the EP&O levy at work here in the halls of Kapowson?
Oh, yes. I am very blessed to serve in a school that is small, local community. And because of that, I get to know all my students and families very deeply, and I love that. But also in a school this size, I think it's unusual to have a full-time counselor and assistant administrator that allows me to spend time with my students in a meaningful way for me and in a way that I think is connected to our award that we recently received.
Absolutely, Jennifer. I'm glad you said that. Kapowson has been a small community school for a long time. The history of the school Kind of dates back to 1906. There was a large 2-story Capoussin grade and high school that opened in 1906. It was on the hill overlooking Lake Capoussin. It served children of mill workers, dairy farmers, and loggers in this thriving town. In April of 1949, there was an earthquake that hit the Capoussin school, damaged the building, and the following month, Capoussin was brought into the Bethel School District. That's when our district was founded, brought together a bunch of smaller districts, and the students moved from their old school to the new Capoussin Elementary School. Over the next 50 years, Capoussin Elementary received a number of upgrades and expansions until it was finally time to rebuild the school 50 years later in 2003. That is thanks to our voters. They approved a bond back in 2001 to help fund that, along with a lot of other projects. Jennifer, 2003 is not that long ago, I guess, in the cosmic sense, but do you have any staff that remember the old school before it was torn down?
Oh, yes. Actually, Misty, she retired at the end of my first year here. And so she's not on staff today, but her first day here when she interviewed at the old building.
Oh my
gosh. And she tells a story about coming in for her interview and running across a goat. And she was shocked because she came from the city where goats just don't run around. And he was just sitting there pleasantly eating some of the glue off of the student projects hung on the wall.
Wait, was this goat inside the building?
It was inside the building. And she was like, hello, there's a goat in here. And they're like, oh, yeah, can you please just shoo him along? And so she had to do her best as a city girl coming in and shooing the goat out of the building.
That is fantastic.
That is a kind of rural school story. I love that.
Right.
I love that.
And our latest bond, which was approved by voters in 2019, has funded a number of new schools and other projects. I'm going to just rattle them off here for everyone who's already forgotten. Challenger High School Phase 2 expansion, Expedition Elementary, GK High School expansion, Catherine G. Johnson Elementary, New Natchez Trail Elementary, turf fields at GK and Spanaway Lake High School, and the latest Evergreen Elementary expansion and remodeling project, which just opened its doors in time for the new school year.
And that school looks fantastic. We have 2 projects that are still underway. The new Bethel High School, which is going to open in 2026, and the new Cedar Crest Middle School, scheduled to open in 2028.
So obviously, building schools is one thing, running them is a whole nother thing.
Yeah, Jennifer, your school just received the 2025 Washington School on the Rise Award. Tell us about what that means to you and the hard work that your staff is doing every day that made it happen.
Oh, absolutely. The award centers around student leadership and leading alongside our children, because I believe deeply, and my staff believe this as well, that our schools center around the children we serve today, and they should have a strong voice then in the school. It increases a sense of belonging, and we see how important a sense of belonging is to schools in the academic outcomes that come from a strong sense of belonging, but also in terms of safety.
Sure.
That is a key responsibility for all who work in schools. And some of the work that we've done here at Capoussin around that, I think the piece that speaks the most to me as a principal is that once a month, I meet with our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, and I listen to them about concerns they have, how things are going, and also depending on the month, we may also digest some of the panorama data that our students take a survey several times a year, sharing how they feel here at our school. And we dig into that, and we talk about why that is, where that's coming from. Our students last year, for example, as we were digging through some of this data and talking about our school, they said that they love that their teachers give them opportunities to discuss with other students in class, and they love when their teachers mix it up and have them talk to other people because they feel like they know more people in their classroom, and they feel more confident when they share. But they said, some students are taking all of those minutes and they're not always getting to share their side. And so I shared that with my staff, my instructional leadership committee, created presentation materials, and then presented to our staff on strategies for navigating that. And then the next month, the students reported things were so much better and more efficient in their classroom. So I think that story shows a really concrete link between the feedback we're receiving from our students, the humility and intentionality of my team in meeting those needs. Another example, which we haven't acted on yet, but I'm really excited to get going on this year, is at the end of last year, we were discussing in that same meeting group, how are things now? And they said, well, things were better But now there's more arguing happening on the playground again, and it's all centering around sports. And we don't like how you take away our sports, I take away their opportunity to play a sports game if they can't get along, because that's what they love to do. And they want to be able to do that with their friends, but they just haven't been able to get along. And I love this story because like the very next day, it was the senior walkthrough, and they do a presentation to our 5th graders. And the seniors that were here were talking about how way back when they were here in 4th and 5th grade, they also lost sports because they also could not get along.
There's a tradition of it.
This is like a long-standing Kapowsin tradition, and really, all elementary schools. And so I asked my students, well, what do you think we should do? And their idea, which I think is brilliant, and which I plan on working on for the fall, is that we should have Kapowsin-specific agreed-upon rules for each popular game that should be developed with their voice. Then we should train students to be referees on these rules, and they will take turns and have a rotation of student refs to help manage the arguing. And then the staff that are supervising the playground will support the decisions that the ref makes. And I thought that was brilliant, and I'm really excited to see the impact that they'll have on the school.
That is great. And what an awesome way of using that data that we have to make real world changes that affect students. And you talked about creating student belonging here, which is obviously very important for any school. And you mentioned some concrete ways. What else can a staff, a leadership team do to help students have that sense of belonging in a school where they really have buy-in and they feel like this is their home away from home?
Oh, yeah. The most important piece of that is to just deeply know your kids, to know who they are spending time with, to notice when those friendships maybe have a rough patch and be able to help facilitate those friendships. I think the more that we know our students, the better we are able to serve our students. But it's also being at drop-off every day and pick up every day. One of my staff members, Miss Hoffman, she knows every single child in our building. She individually and uniquely greets them every morning as they leave the bus. And parents recognize her. And I've had calls from my parents saying, you have a fantastic school. I love your school so much. But really, it's Miss Hoffman that they love. Because she's so amazing. Yeah.
I love that. It always comes back to an amazing staff member for parents that makes that connection. Our district has done a lot of work with the Hannigan's Behavior Solutions team. And just what you're talking about with that playground example seems like there's definitely behavior wrapped up in that. Was there anything that your team took away from Behavior Solutions and that they're implementing this year?
Yes, so many things. We have already worked last year on developing strong school-wide expectations, our Cougar Code, and we spent the beginning of the school year learning that in our classrooms, in our hallways, at every moment of transition throughout our building and in every shared space. We also have been working to build systems for Tier 2, analyzing our data and identifying student supports for students that will help them learn skills to be successful. I really believe that all of our students, all people, I really believe people are people, whether they're little people or big people. We're all people navigating the same feelings and emotions and challenges. And I believe people do their best and are their best. And sometimes we just have to provide some support and skills in order to help them reach our expectation.
Well, Jennifer Vasquez, thank you so much for joining us today. We hope your third year here in the building is a great one.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you one more time, Jennifer Vasquez, principal at Kapowsin Elementary School. We will be back next week with another great show.